Alright, well, first off, welcome to the Accudemia Using Areas Effectively. And what that stands for there, you see, is Accudemia Referrals and Early Alert System, or you guys might just know it as Early Alert System. Alright, and basically the goal of this Early Alert System, I just was stating here, we're trying to improve your students basically through a way of managing them, getting some kind of early alerts and getting that set up so that you guys can help improve the students there in your centers. Here's what we're going to be covering today. First, we're going to go through the referral system setup, then managing the system and using the dashboard to do that. We're going to go through a workflow walkthrough, like basically the steps in which you would do that, and then some tips on the early alert system, and then we'll open it up for questions. Alright, and jumping right into it, the things you need to do to set up the referral system here is you got to create a referral template. So when you're in Accudemia, on the left hand side you have your control panel here under administration. You're going to choose advanced and then click on referral templates. When you get there, you'll see a screen similar to this, and you'll just click create new. From that, you're going to basically create a template, and what's on this template is as many questions as you want to ask in regards to why the referrals being created. And there are sample questions provided, but you guys can remove those out of there and create your own. You can also indicate who is responsible for the follow-up on the template, and also who gets a copy of the referral for this particular template. And you can create as many of those as you like. You know, maybe one for tutoring request. You know, your advising center may want a different one with different questions than you know, maybe your tutoring center. So let's go ahead and go to the next step here. Once you get that set up, you've got your template, you're ready to create the referrals themselves. So this is the second step to this. Basically, you're going to create and fill out a referral form. When you go ahead and create that, the first thing it's going to do is want to know what template. So now that since you've already set up your template, you're going to just choose from the drop down what template you want to do. And I guess I should mention also, to get to your referrals, you would actually click down at the bottom under class attendance, the referrals. And here you can actually choose more information, like your instructor, that you want this reported to a classroom, or I'm sorry, not a classroom, but a class, like, you know, the name of the class and what students this is for. And it should already pre-fill if you've chosen a follow-up person, and then all the recipients that it'll be copied to are going to be already pre-filled, and all you need to do is put in the comments and answer any additional questions. I don't have that on the screen, but we'll see that here shortly. But yeah, then once you save the changes on this, there's a few things that are actually going to be done automatically. It's going to send out email messages to all the people that are copied, and also to the instructor there. And then it'll also be updated on the dashboard. And the dashboard, we'll see later, is where you see a view of all your referrals so that you can manage them. And you can even have that sent to the student. There's actually a checkbox there for the student to get a copy if you'd like. Alright, and then after that, then it's time to take action, basically following up on the dashboard. Okay, here is a sample of what your dashboard might look like. Basically, we're just going to go through the buttons here real quick, and then I'll actually show you in Accudemia how those actually work. So when you click on the referrals on the lower left bottom under the class attendance section, this is your Referrals Dashboard or Areas Dashboard. And to create one, you're going to click Create New. And as you saw, we filled all the information out that we needed, and we saved the changes. Now, if you've already got one created and you just needed to make a change, you accidentally chose the wrong tutor maybe to follow up on it, you're going to go ahead and select it down here. It'll highlight yellow, and click Edit. And you make your changes that you wanted to, and then hit Save Changes. Alright, same with this delete here. Now, not everybody's going to have the delete option. Only admins will have that. So that way, you may be able to have somebody create them. In other words, initiate the referrals, but not necessarily remove them out of the system. So, but if you do have that option, you'll have a delete button here. You'll select the record that you want to delete. Like, say this one's been closed for a good while, and you're just trying to clean it up. You actually just click delete. It comes off the records. Now, one of the other things that I need to mention too, this here in this references, we have a status in the last column here. And the status, basically you have new, meaning that there's not a date set for it, would be a blank white square here. Follow-up, meaning that they actually set a follow-up date for it, is going to show a yellow status like this one in the middle. Requires attention means that it's beyond the follow-up date that was set for it. So that's going to be red. And then closed would be your green cases, meaning that they've already been completed. So if there was like a case in here that you're actually completing, all the follow-ups have been done, you would actually select the record here and click on the close button. It's going to ask you for comments as to why you're closing it out, and then when you click accept, it's going to make sure you want to actually close it out, and then you just click yes again. Now, let's say you accidentally closed out the wrong case in the list, or for some reason, like maybe the student needs more help, then you're going to want to reopen the case. So once it's in a green status or closed, you'll just select that record and then click on reopen. Give it a reason, student needs more help. Hit accept, yes. And then the last thing you can do is actually extend a follow-up, or actually follow up on something. So if you're responsible for it, the follow-up date is approaching or it's already passed, you can click on one of the records down here and click on follow-up. Go ahead and create your follow-up comments, maybe extend out the follow-up date to the next time that you have to do it, and then you can save the changes. Alright, and this takes us to another thing that not all staff are going to have access to the dashboard automatically. Let's say you want to have your tutors or instructors even have access to this. In those groups that they're already in, like the tutors or instructors, you're actually going to have to create a group template to give them access to the referral system. Okay, and to give you a little more explanation on that, if you're on the left side panel of your Accudemia account, under Advanced we have another section called Role Group Templates. It's right above the referral templates. You'll click on that, and you'll get a screen similar to this, and you'll want to create a new group. You can also edit an existing group. Let's say you had assistants in there, and you want to also give the assistants access to this referral system. Then you can actually edit that group that you already have and just give them the additional role. So let's go ahead and create new here. Okay, and when you're going to I think there's like 67 different permissions that you can basically give people. Rather than search for referrals, if you just click on the little magnifying glass in this first column and start typing referral, it'll give you two different roles here that you can assign to somebody. And you can see I have a referrals issuer and a referrals administrator. Basically, the referrals issuer will be able to do most things: create, edit, close a case, reopen. Pretty much the only thing that they won't be able to do, that the admin can do, would be able to actually delete the referral out of the system completely, and also create the templates for them. So if you have somebody that you want to be able to manage it essentially, but not actually remove or change the templates that are used, then you'd go ahead and give them the referrals issuer group role. And once you've created this group, I was creating one here called Referral Admin. I'd check the box here and then save the changes. Okay, so now we're going to go through a quick walkthrough on some of those actually in the system. So let's switch over to Accudemia. Okay, and real quick, the first thing we were going over is the referral templates. I've got two in the system already. I've got the academic counseling referral and like a tutoring request referral. And on this one, I have a default person to follow up on that, whereas on this other one, I actually don't. I set that when they actually go to create the form. So you can set as much stuff on these as you want. So let's look at this first one here. I'm just going to edit that. You can create new, or if you've never created one, you'll have to create one. Yeah, in fact, some people won't even be able to click on the referrals down here to get to the dashboard until there's actually a template been created. Alright, so in this one you see I have my follow-up is Lois Lane here, and then all my recipients I could actually just, if there's somebody I wanted to look for, I can just start typing and then add them in that I want these people to receive a copy of those. And so those are pretty much what you would need, at least a recipient or a follow-up person and the name for it. The other things here are additional questions that you can ask. There are some canned responses here, pre-done questions even, and I think that's what's in this particular one. And basically these are just additional questions that you may want answered when setting up the referral. Once you've got that in there, you're just going to save the changes. I'm just canceling out, but and then you're done. So once you have it showing up in here, you should be able to now create some referrals. And I know a lot of people were asking about tutoring requests. You could actually handle tutoring requests through the same way. Maybe create a template, similar to this. What area did the student need assistance with? These are a list of all my tutors. Which tutor would they like to get help from? And this is one off of one of the other canned questions where what program are they in, or demographic group here. Okay, and so then let's go to the referrals. When you click on referrals here, you'll get this similar screen here of the dashboard, and we have this sorted actually on the statuses. If I'm like the main system admin or one of the admins, I'm going to see everybody's. Now if it's maybe a tutor or instructor who has a follow-up here, that they're the ones responsible for the follow-up, they're going to have a list of just theirs, unless you give them admin privileges as well so that they see all of them. And from here, this is where we can actually create a new one. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, that's what I was looking for, so I just put in my instructor, and choose one of our classes. Alright, and then we can just type in our student that we're looking for. There we go. Alright, so pretty much you go through and fill all this out. Now we have Lois Lane as the follow-up person on this. Now if at this time I wanted to actually change that, I could, but it's actually pulling that from the template because I have it set to the academic counseling referral, but I could easily change that. Oops, this isn't the one I was wanting. So it kept my information here that I already filled out, but I've selected the correct template now because this was actually a tutoring request. Alright, and so now I'm going to specify who I want to follow up on this. And there's Hulk Hogan, my tutor. And we're going to have him follow up by Friday on this. Alright, there's my comment. We're going to send a copy to our student and just answer some of this. What was it? I guess math. And they're not in any of these, so we're done. And then finally save your changes at the top. Okay, and you can see I have this top record here that's been created with the follow-up date by Friday. And so from this point, I could go back in, I can edit it, I could delete it, I could close it out like that they've been helped, I could make a follow-up comment on it, and it would actually be available to any of those people that were in the copies or that it was assigned to. So Lois Lane, Clark Kent could make a follow-up on it, or Professor X here, and what I'd like to show really is we're going to take some of our staff members real quick and we'll just sign in as one of them to see kind of like what they would be doing. And I've actually got two of them that I've already picked out here that I've set up a password and everything. Okay, so they've signed in here, and this is actually a tutor and an instructor. They have multiple roles here, and so they have a little bit more options, but you can see they have the referrals, so they'll just click down there. Okay, and she's actually an admin, so she's one that we have that can view all of them. So that, I guess, would show you that. Now, I don't think I can do it in here. I'm going to have to sign out and sign back in. And basically what I was wanting to show is that they have there's two different tutors that I have with two different of those group roles. So let's look at our staff again. And we just looked at Jean Grey, she had admin privileges, but this Ric Flair character here, when we look here, I made him a referral issuer, so he's not going to have all the privileges, and he's only a staff or a tutor in my Accudemia. Alright, so he has the referrals down here. And you can see how now with Ric Flair, he only has the one that he has been followed up on. So it's not the entire listing, as well as there's no delete option here. So he can't just delete it out of the system. I don't know what happened. I never got it or whatever, you know. So basically that would be an issuer's way, and they don't have the administrative templates where they can create the referral form templates themselves. Alright, and now the one thing is, let's go to the next slide here. We're going to go through the tips here. Appointment no-shows, class absences, things like this is one of the tips that I wanted to put in here, because these are ways that you could monitor the Accudemia system and start a referral. You know, maybe the students missed their last 3 appointments. Maybe they're over 5 absences in a class, and you know, usually with absenteeism, they're more likely to have issues in the class. So you may want to set up a referral to have somebody contact them and see if they need help, maybe with tutoring or anything like that. These are things in the system, just ways of using those to create a referral. Now you have to initiate those. They're not actually automatically, this person was absent 3 times or something. Now we do always look for improvements. So if that's something that you'd like to see in Accudemia, you could go ahead and suggest that on our user voice, and I'll give you more information about that if you're not familiar with it. But like things like that, like automating it would probably make it a little bit better with it. But we need to get some suggestion feedback, what you guys would like to see out of it. But this is ways you can use Accudemia. And I logged out, but I'm going to try and log back in real quick just to show you what I'm talking about with the 2 sections here with appointment no-shows. And this might be old, for any of you that have used these sections before, but there's the appointment no-shows, and also your if you're tracking classroom attendance, you could actually get absentees as well. And you can either do those through reports under class attendance. You could get an absence list or absentees list, or you could just go through and actually view like a particular course's absentees. And maybe even an instructor might be more apt to do that. Let me see. I think, where is it, spring 2013? Okay, I need to look into the registration, because I think I haven't registered my summer 2013 yet, so there's no classes for that. Let's go to appointments, view all. So if you show your filters, normally it shows you the next 2 weeks automatically, but let's say I wanted to see the last year. I could just click on the double arrows and select the date, and it's going to go back years. But you can actually set that to maybe even the last 3 months or something for that semester. And over here on the statuses, you can actually see the details, like for instance these ones with the yellow asterisk or yellow exclamation mark are my no-shows. So if you start to see a certain student has a lot of appointment no-shows, you can go ahead and click over on your referrals. And some people have even said they kept one tab open to referrals and one open to the absence or the classroom attendance, so they could go off of each other. The other thing is to create groups to manage them. So, maybe after a student does have some either bad grades, if you have another system you can get that from, or has a lot of absences in their classes, you can actually go ahead and create them into a at-risk group, and you could actually get that from a report that you've generated through Accudemia. So, maybe you've ran the absentee report, and every time you run a report and you filter it any kind of way, like maybe I want to do, well, that's actually groups right there, but let's say I select a handful of students, or pick certain classes. Okay, this is all classes for the term, but you can pick certain classes, view the report, and it actually, in your group section here, will create a group for every report that you've ran, and then off those reports you can actually create this at-risk group. Alright, and I think I mentioned this as well while we were just going through all that, is you could actually use it for handling tutoring requests. If a student comes in and would like to start meeting with a tutor, you could actually have this where it sends it out to all the available tutors, and if they request a certain tutor, to have them be the follow-up on that, or even the person that's in charge of setting up tutoring requests. Okay, and that takes us to the end. That may have been a little less than 40 minutes or so, like I was saying, but basically what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite you guys to take a brief moment to do an evaluation. So you can comment if you saw anything that we may have needed to improve on the training here. That's at the top here, engineerica.com/training/evaluation. Also, I'm going to open it up for questions. I see I got some coming through the chat. Let me unmute everybody too. And I've got one question here. Do you automatically get a notice when the referrals past due? When the referrals are going to expire, there's an email that should be sent out to let you know right before it does expire, but it's going to go out to all the people that are on there. So it'll give the follow-up by person the chance to go ahead and finish that up. And we have another one. Can only the referral owner close a referral? No, that can be that can be done by any admin or anybody that's actually copied on it. Like if you're not an admin, then you're not going to see it unless you're actually on there. So if you wanted somebody else that was on it to close out that referral, they could for you. So they would still see it because, like I said, if you're just like an issuer of referrals, even if you close it out, the admins will still see it. It's not going to get deleted or anything, but it'll just be in a closed status.
Can you create a referral without putting the person that's going to follow up in it? To see, we we meet, and then at the meeting I find out who's going to follow up, and then I would list the name in there afterwards. But will it allow you to create it without listing that?
When you're actually creating the referral, right? Not the template, because the template will allow you to create it without a follow-up person. But let's see.
What about without an instructor? Because we sometimes get referrals from parents, from other students. What if it's not necessarily from an instructor?
I know it does ask for the instructor, so you may want to add just like a dummy instructor if if there's no instructor or something, because
like someone on the team who would always get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you can create an option where all of the fields aren't required to be filled out?
Yeah.
Well, they shouldn't all be required. Like if I was to create a new one here, let's go ahead and we'll just do another tutoring request. Like, let's see. Like, what would be the minimum that you would normally want to put in here or
as
something?
Regina was stating, you don't always need all of the information. Sometimes
Right.
it's helpful, but other times it's just a more general referral.
Okay. So like, okay, here's my student, because we need that at least, and then maybe you don't know who's going to follow up on it, and I don't think you have to put a follow-up on date. It can just be new in there. So let's say you're just setting it up for someone to take over or whatever, and it could be one of these recipients, because when you create your template, you can create it without, it has to either have a follow-up person or recipients, one or the other, because the template won't let you create it, because, I mean, that's what basically adds, to the, the reason for the template, in other words. So
Yeah,
like,
I would want, but instructor I wouldn't always necessarily need.
so then I just put my comments or whatever. Let's see. And I think it's going to argue because it does want an instructor. I remember that.
I've tried that.
So let's try it without
It also wants a class.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't let you save it with just that.
Without a class.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought it was supposed to at least allow that so that it would be like in a new state or whatever, where like I don't know why.
Is there any way, if it can't be optional, that you can just have like a not applicable field added to that?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to create like like an instructor or a class that was basically used for that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to, let's go ahead and just show you real quick.
Because that could be confusing to people that are following up.
So we need at least a name for it. So and because I think it actually pulls from a class, so let's create a new class. There it is, display as. I don't know if I want this. Okay, so I have that class in there. Let's go ahead and go back to our referral. Now that one is a little harder because you have to actually create a subject area and then a class for it. So when I'm going to create my new one, now I'll just type in, maybe in the slash. There we go. So now I have something to choose there. And what it'll do is it'll be at least a placeholder so you can get it created. And you would actually go through and do the same thing for your instructor. So you'd create an instructor just for the purposes of being able to say no instructor or something like that.
Okay.
And they're really not ever used in the system, just there so that you can, fill in the form the way it needs to be. So that'll allow you to save it because, it's telling me I need a student and an instructor. So it's, but yeah, so I could have also, let's save it. Okay, so this one has no follow-up. I have a follow-up by because that was actually on that particular form. Probably actually edit that and get rid of that too.
Yeah, I was just saying if you had an NA instructor and an NA class, then basically you're just discussing the student with the recipients of that referral.
Exactly.
Right, yeah, kind of like an email
Yeah.
group or whatever.
Okay. And then later on you can change any of that after the fact.
Right, yeah, you can always go back in there and edit, what the class is. Oops, I got to select one. So later on I can say, okay, well, we knew it was accounting. No, and then save it.
Now, you showed where you could delete it. Does it still keep that information somewhere in a database? Can you export it or
When you delete
like an
them,
Excel spreadsheet? Mm-hmm.
when you delete them, it's deleted.
It's gone?
It's gone.
Okay.
Yeah. Right here, referral details and referral summary. So details would probably give you all the information.
Demographic?
Yeah, let's see. I guess you do for summer. Actually, I probably should do spring because the summer just started and I don't think I have much in there. Maybe to present. Alright. Now choose the tutoring request. Show ID, why not? And we'll do everything, so. There shouldn't really be too much because I think I just created that tutoring request. Yeah,
Can
maybe
you
that's.
show what it looks like when it's emailed to the people the recipients? Can you show what those email templates look like? And are those modifiable?
Oh, you mean like when they receive a copy of it?
Exactly. When they receive something because something's been, updated?
Okay, let me, here, I've actually got a few of them in my email.
Oh, good.
And I might even have more since I've been in the system. Yeah, so I've got, all these are actually from Accudemia here. And I'm in there twice, one under Nicholas Armstrong and the other one under Nick Armstrong. So I think I get copied on either one. But here is, here, let me open up one of these. Here's kind of like an example of a referral being updated. So every time there's been a change made to that, you're going to get, the general information about it, the description, the details, and I believe any changes as well. So I think what we changed was the accounting on here, because if we go back to the one
Yeah, we
right
did.
before that, it was NA.
It was in NA, yeah.
But you would basically get like a summary of that in the email. And we really didn't fill out much of the other information. Like I think I have one here that may have had, okay, yeah, so here's the one I did before that where I said it was math and Hulk Hogan was what they were wanting to get help with, and or to help them, I mean, and no
Recipient, none.
graph. Well, it was a demographic. None of those groups
Oh.
are that. Yeah. Another question is: a referral
Oh, okay.
encrypted once sent? I don't think any personal information really is out here other than their names and the information on the referral. So we're not like sending out their IDs or anything like that. Plus, I don't know how they'd be able to go ahead and encrypt that email. There might be a way, but I don't think they really encrypt those. But I'd have to ask Diego. Is there a way to escalate a referral to another person, like a director? That's a good question. The only thing you can do really is change the follow-up. So if there, like if there was somebody that, okay, I've helped this person to the fullest that I can, you can always change the follow-up and just put in the notes. So like, let's go ahead and edit this one. Or actually, I'm sorry, we're not going to edit it. We're going to create a follow-up on it. Okay, so you're going to put in your notes here. Did all I could do. Alright. And then, maybe change this to Lois Lane couldn't help, but Clark Kent might be able to. I don't know. Oh, I think he's an instructor, but there he is.
It is.
So yeah, like you could essentially do it that way. There's not an actual button that says escalate on it, but and then it's updated. And that's who the new follow-up person. And the thing about that too, if you were the follow-up person before, I think it would actually come up off your screen, because unless you're adding yourself to the recipients as well, so you have to be careful about changing the follow-up person. If you are going to escalate it but you still want to know, you need to add yourself as the recipient, just so that you get copied on all those.
Let me ask you, this is something a little bit different. The school that we're at, we have several students who have the same name. Now, in creating a new report, new template, in the general referral information, is there any way that you can insert a column or a row that has a student ID number?
That's a good one.
Oh, okay, I know what
In
you're
the
saying.
comment section, you could identify the student further.
Yeah, you could. But I know what you're saying on when you go to add
But
the.
then when you pull up a report, it has to be somewhere where it will identify that student. If it's in comments, I don't know if it necessarily would, but I have 4 students with the same name.
With the with the reports, when you do the referral reports, you can actually show their ID.
Oh, I see.
So as far as the report,
I maybe just have to number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or something like that.
or do they?
When you went to select a student, did it show the ID? Because you have to be able to select from those 4.
Exactly, yeah. So you'd have to change the last name or give them a middle initial that's like 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't know.
Really?
Or just keep a little tab.
Can you do
I gave-
nicknames? Like, can you add
Maybe,
anything?
yeah, as like
Maybe,
the
maybe
middle, yeah.
that might be an idea. Yeah.
Well, if they're tied to a class, it's highly undoubtable that they're all going to be in the same exact class.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
there are
But that could
others
happen.
that are in the same class. That's,
Oh, boy. Yeah, I would definitely have the middle initial in there.
yeah. Well, in this area, there's a lot of last names that are very common and first names that are
Yeah.
common. So that was
Boy,
just
that is a tough one.
because I've in generating reports or even keying in students, I've had to always go to another screen, my data tail, to pull up the right one in order to key them in.
I guess I don't have enough students to get that because I figured there'd be a lot of Joes or, I don't know, John.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Well, maybe a nickname or something. Maybe that even I could just put for them, whether they have a middle initial or not.
right, yeah. And it'll accept, like you see on my, the one I added in there, John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith, you know, I can put in a full middle name, so.
Right, right.
So you could put the middle, the nickname in there.
Mm-hmm. And most of the reports or anything.
And so would that have to be set up through admin, or can anybody edit that to include the nicknames and kind of identifying information?
You would have to have that permission on there. And if you don't already have it, like staff and instructors, or I'm sorry, this is normally tutors, I've changed my terminology. They may not have that by default, but you can always go in and, like I was showing in here, group templates for the role group templates. I have an assistance group. You know, they're not really defined anywhere in the system, so I had to create a group for them. And, you know, I can search through, there's 43 different roles that I could give them. So if I want them to be able to edit students, so let's just see, like, I don't know if I'll get lucky. Nope. Let's try edit students. Edit classes. Might have to just look through this because I know there's an option. I don't know if they automatically, everybody has the ability to edit students because, let's see, manage staff, person groups. You may be able to, I think maybe all the users could edit the students because it would seem that that would be one of the options here. Yeah. If not, you may have to have an admin do it. And I mentioned about improvements. We're always looking for ways to improve the system. And yes, this is recorded as well to answer that question. I have a website here. It's accudemia.uservoice.com. So any of the things that you've seen throughout the webinar and kind of learning about the system or even using it, you know, maybe when you've gotten to a point, and it sounds like some of you guys have actually ran into a few of these things. Like, let's say you wanted to be able to, whatever you can think of, alright, let's do this, create referral. So that's like one of my things that I was asking, and it actually gives you some suggestions of other people. So here's one that's automatically initiate a referral from a certain amount of appointment no-shows and or class absences. So, you know, then you could either vote on their idea, because that's essentially the same thing that I'm saying up here, and you can actually give it, you know, up to 3 votes per idea. And the only thing that you need to do that would be like your email address you have in Accudemia, because you only get up to 10 votes altogether. And the way you get those votes back is when those ideas are actually implemented, you'll get those votes back. You can always remove your votes too, so don't feel like they're like held to a certain idea. If like later on you see some improvements or changes and it kind of like defeats the purpose of what you wanted, you can actually...
Do you get a limited number of votes?
Yeah, there is only 10 at any given time.
Okay.
But they're very fluid because you can remove them off of ideas. You can put more votes to one thing, but there's only 3 per idea. So, and then if you have a lot of ideas, that kind of limits you, because that means only 10 ideas at a time. And right now you can kind of see like what the top ideas, and this is where the programmers check for improvements on the next 6-month or annual release of the next version. So like for instance, this one is connect the referral to an point in the system and or the center. So you can click on them too to read. Maybe they had a lot of information they wanted to explain the idea. Because you also, if you actually create the idea yourself, it'll actually ask for a more explanation, like a paragraph or so. All right, and I think that's about it.